kind of for the first time, start talking about the toys that you're going to be seeing in 3.0. And I know our artists are kind of excited about what we're going to be introducing here. So a lot of stuff to go over. We're going to go cover it really quick. But before we get into the actual toys, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Toy Box Hub, which is new with 3.0. We have a lot of people that come into the Toy Box for the first time, and it's like, wow, there's so many things that you can do in the Toy Box. It's sometimes overwhelming. And we've created Toy Box Hub, which introduces the player to all the different aspects, all the different gameplay that's available within Disney Infinity and with the box. And we're really excited about this because what we're hoping is that people can now learn and experience this and kind of take it on and figure out all these different pieces. And as they do this, this hub builds out and becomes more elaborate, more alive, and it's a fun place to go and play. So we're really excited about this Toy Box Hub. Within that, we have 2 new buildings, and the first of which is Flynn's Arcade. Imagine signing in Disney ID, and I go into Flynn's Arcade, and I go up and I interact with an arcade cabinet. And now I can actually go and play, and we're going to go out and find matchmake with other Disney Infinity players and create a game. So you can go in and play against other players and have that kind of experience, whether it be a race, a paintball challenge, or any kind of platforming challenge. We've set it up such that in the future, as we continue to grow the arcade, we can run contests and say, hey, you can create the best Fix-It Felix game or racetrack. And then those toy boxes can be featured in Flynn's Arcade. So a lot of fun. We're really excited about this. The other thing that is going to be in the Toy Box Hub is the El Capitan Theater. I don't know if anyone has ever had a chance to go to the El Cap Theater and actually see a movie there. It is a magical experience. And so the El Cap in the Toy Box is a place now where we feature all the greatest toy boxes that you guys make, that the community makes. And so this allows us to make this more accessible to a lot of players. I think you guys, the community is all familiar with how to go get these toy boxes, how to play them, how to download them. But there's a lot of players that just don't get that in. A lot of kids that don't quite know how to do that. Well, now they just go to the El Cap Theater, and we're going to feature the weekly winner and or great toy boxes that the Mentor team makes, and they can just go stream that and play it, and so it makes it a lot more accessible. Really excited about that. Here also, you can go stream Toy Box TV, JV and Allison anytime you'd like. So a lot of fun. So with that, so many new toys, and there's no one better. Troy Johnson, designer on Toy Box, and Patrick was part of the Mentor team. They have their hands in these toys every single day, and I'm going to turn it over to them because they know these things inside and out.
Yeah, so we'll just get kind of right into it. And again, we have a very short amount of time. We have a lot of toys to cover. So I guess you can kind of say we're just going to hit the tip of the ice castle, if you want to just hit that next slide.
Yeah.
Bob didn't think that
so
joke
bad.
would land, and the 4 people who laughed proved that it's almost accurate. So,
so bad. Anyways, we'll get to toys now.
yeah.
So luckily, with as much we're going over, it's awesome that we've got the Mentor team, and in particular, Jose has been working on tutorial videos and a lot of these other introductory tools to help people get acquainted with it. So don't worry if you miss some of the details along the way here. But one of the most exciting new toys and tools that we've got this time around, if you hear us throw the word spline around, that's an internal dev term, but it's called the Path Creator. And this is an awesome new tool that allows you to basically make paths that all sorts of things can travel along in your world. And it's as simple as just dropping points along the way, and it automatically connects that line together, and you're off to the races.
And so once you've created that path, you can attach then all kinds of toys to those paths. And
so many things, and they all have key functionality based on what kind of object that it is. Right. You can do things like 2D side-scrolling with this tool as well. It's just incredibly robust and really, really fun.
Yeah, AI races, checkpoint races like you would experience in the play sets. But it also adds an element of life to your toy box where you can attach townspeople to the spline. They'll kind of walk that path, so it can kind of make it look live and bustling, or maybe you're trying to make maybe a stealth mission or something like that, and they can kind of have a secure patrol route that they go on. You can attach vehicles to it, and there's an option to where they will pretty much go on their own, so you can kind of have traffic flow through your toy box.
Or a roller coaster if you want to jump inside.
Yeah, ride systems.
So really excited about this toy, real nervous about what you guys are going to do with this toy, but I can't wait to see what kind of creations you guys come up with. I think when we talk about AI racers, that's one of the fun things. In the past, in the toy box, you always had to use the racetracks, right? and you had to connect all of those. Well, now you can actually use anything to be your race. You use the terrain, and now you just put the spline down, and those AI racers will follow that. So you're not limited to just the racetrack. So that will be a lot of flexibility and a lot of power within that, creating the races as well.
For sure.
So some of the other things, cameras, like John Blackburn said earlier, you can now make cut scenes a lot easier with sweeping camera pans and zooms. You can attach blocks and platforms to make really cool platforming challenges. There's just tons and tons of things that you can do with this. And again, like Bob said, terrified of what you're going to do with it, but really excited to see the amazing things that you'll come up with.
Yep.
Definitely.
So this one was kind of another pet project on the Toybox team. And I got to give a shout out to all the programmers and artists back at Avalanche because they cranked amazing things out this time. So, great job to them. But this is called the Metronome. And this is one of my favorites because it allows you to make music far more easily in the Toybox. Well, combined with the Music Note Creator, it allows you to create music at all in the Toybox. But this allows you to create sequences of events in planned rhythms and in cycles, and just with much greater ease. Before you had to use a lot of logic gates and a lot of delayers and timers and things like that. This is all within one toy with a slick interface to just say this goes, and this goes, and this goes, and this goes. Change the rhythm at a single change of a property, and it's really going to, I think, change the way that you create cool stories that happen in sequence and in order. But again, making music is going to be really fun to see what you do.
Really cool thing I like about the Metronome toy, too, is that you can have things happen as close as a quarter second from one another. 2.0, it was always kind of 1 second was sort of as quick as you could get it, and now we have just that much more detail we can put in as well.
So not only can you do music, but you can also choreograph your own fireworks shows and all of those kinds of things.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of power here. Anxious to see what you come up with for it.
So again, with the Music Note Creator, there's a handful of instruments you can choose. You change the notes. It's all laid out as a musician might recognize with just picking your note in the scales. And again, it's going to be really fun to see what you do.
And I remember when you came into our office and you told us that this toy was happening, it's in the toy box. I know you're a very musically inclined person. You have a singing voice of an angel. Don't ask how I know that. I am not that person. But I have experimented with these toys. I have built a level around these toys, and even if you're not a maestro, these have a very ease of use to them, which is really nice.
It'll be fun. See what everyone comes up with the music toys.
But again, like we said, the Metronome can work with the music toy beautifully, but it can also set up a bunch of different things as well. We have a new fireworks cannon we're really excited to show. Fireworks and the toy box have kind of gone hand in hand since 1.0. And we still have the traditional fireworks cannon, but we have this new one where you have all these different shapes, sizes, colors. You can connect locators to it so they can go off in different positions. How many of you guys saw the Disneyland Forever fireworks last night? Yeah, amazing. Hopefully one of you guys gets to recreate that in the toy box sometime in the next year. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. So this next toy we've had a lot of requests from community and from even internally about how do we make more event-driven kind of toy boxes, something that will change over time if I play it one day versus another. And this actually allows you to do that very thing. It allows you to set up logic connections to anything in your world based on day, week, month of the year. So you can, for example, Disneyland, right? They decorate at the holiday time. Halloween is awesome. November, December, just absolutely beautiful, and it changes the experience. Now that exact same toy box can have this experience where if I load in a toy box and start playing in October, I can trigger this to change the theme, to change the sky, to make different enemies appear than you might otherwise. But you can even do day-night cycles as granular as by hour of the day that you're playing. Ping this toy and it'll get something different out of it.
And this all utilizes the system clock.
Yep, system clock. So if you want to mess around and try and find some Easter eggs when you shouldn't be, earlier in the year, earlier in the day, feel free and see what you can pull out.
But it adds a lot of fun because you can set stuff up in your toy boxes that people can encounter over time, and we're really excited to, once again, see what you come up with.
Yeah. Another toy we're really excited about, and this was one that's been requested from the community. A lot of these toys, you talk about passion projects on the programming team. It's awesome watching this game develop because you have these passion projects from the team, and you have these fan requests from the community, and watching them come together. And so, most of the time they're the same, but they come together to make these kind of toys. The Theme Changer is one of those, I feel. Just like how we can change sky domes using logic, we now have the ability to change anything themable in the toy box with this Creativa toy. So terrain, plants, rail slides.
Suburb houses.
Yes. And of course, we have tons of new customizations for all those as well.
And you can see with the calendar configurator and these other toys how you can start to link these things together and do some really compelling things.
So this one is another cool one, I think, because it allows you to do really specific contextual functionality in your toy box. We have always had, since the beginning of Infinity, the ability to walk up next to a character or next to a button, and you'd get your button prompt to interact with it in some unique way. What this toy allows you to do is take over that same button prompt and apply it to any logic connection in the toy box. So you can kind of author a mission giver situation by walking up close to a townsperson, and it'll pop up and say, talk, if you want it to. You can walk into a room next to what may have otherwise been an inanimate, kind of light switch decoration, but you can say, have a context to turn on the lights when I hit my button now. All sorts of cool things.
And the great part is that kind of text that pops up either over the character or a townsperson's head, that can be added using our text filter and CleanSpeak tools. So if Joy there was to press that square button and it hit applaud, she would hear like that.
Yes, it worked.
Yeah. I can't believe
incredible.
we pulled that off. Wow, all right.
Hit the button.
Yeah,
It's better than your joke.
slightly. But in the same vein as the context button assigner, we also, as 3.0 and other installments kind of move along, the toy box and the playset experiences are kind of becoming closer together, I feel. We have something called the radar beacon, and maybe saying the name of that one right, I'm pretty sure.
Radar something or other.
Radar something.
Radar marker.
Radar marker, I like that. You can set this to a locator, to a player, to a townsperson or cast member, and they will have kind of that glowing exclamation point type beacon flowing over the head. You can have a question mark. There's several customizations, but as toy box artists, we know sometimes it's hard to guide the player where to go and how to communicate to them, sometimes without spelling it out using a text creator. This is a nice way to do that. They know exactly where to go. You can see it on the radar. It's awesome.
So this one goes, and a lot of these we kind of designed as they would go in conjunction with each other, to create these broader experience, but still have some very granular functionality that we'd like to see you surprise us using the toys. This is one that works well in groups, but this is think of it as a trigger area, the golden box that you could scale in 2.0, but now you can actually attach it to moving objects so that it will always remain with them at any given time. You can do it for townspeople, you can do it for physics balls, you can do it for just the toy itself. But it's a really neat thing where you can dynamically in the properties just adjust what that area will be. So when you get close to something, trigger a reaction.
Triggers whatever logic connection you've set up.
You can make games of tag. You can, just all sorts of things. Stealth missions. It's been a fun one to play around with.
We also have one very similar called the distance checker. The distance checker is kind of like the big brother of the dynamic trigger, I feel, in a lot of ways. It can be attached to a locator or a townsperson or whatever you desire. You can, in the properties of it, you see that little kind of beacon there that says 9 there. It can tell the distance between any two things in the toy box, be it a player and a locator, a player and a townsperson, maybe 2 players. So there's a lot of kind of gameplay options you can go with this. You can see how far you kicked a ball, maybe have a home run derby type simulation or something. But it also has kind of different distances that you can kind of check in. So you can have sort of a warmer, colder type game, try to guide players toward a treasure or something.
It's been really fun. So, again, with all these, I think we've hit some of the key new ones, but there's still a slew of other ones that we'll just pounce on really quickly. But as mentioned in one of the earlier panels, the boss battle toy, where you can actually create some of the key boss battles from the play sets, get them in there. The logic and, I'm not sure how many are familiar with the dual action trigger and the necessity to string multiple of those together sometimes when you have something complicated you want to do. Now, this is one single toy. Anything you pipe into it, it just requires all of those to get your one reaction. It'll really streamline a lot of those
toy box artists,
very
that one.
complicated situations.
Make things a lot easier.
Is there one below that? Vehicle Trick Tracker is, now instead of just based on specific vehicles, it'll just track any player that does tricks at any given time, making sure you award points to the right character, all that sort of stuff. The player counter is another fun one that we're excited about, where you can actually now, at any point, check to see how many active players are actually in the game. So you can adjust teams based on that. You can adjust difficulty or the number of enemies that you've got, or even the number of routes that you provide for them to give a very specific experience depending on the number of players.
Yep.
And we have even more toys. Sidekick Manager, we've mentioned sidekicks very briefly, and they're going to be in several different experiences within Disney Infinity 3.0. We have them, of course, as farmers, and you can plant as well as grow crops to level them up.
You use them in combat. They use build within your toy box. They're kind of like the build trader characters that we had in 2.0.
And so you can put this down in your world, and you can equip them with those weapons or tools to build or fight however you want to. It also gives you the ability to have your sidekick heal you as well. So just like in the Villain Takeover Toy Box expansion game, you can have that kind of dynamic gameplay in the toy box as well in your levels.
I think the other key thing about this is if you don't want players playing with sidekicks in their toy boxes, you want it to be pure skill on just the character they pick alone, you can also prohibit sidekicks from being there.
We'll just mention a couple here real quick. You can see the gate wall key, cage and key. Key is this kind of giant, kind of liftable item that you can find, pick it up. When you come within proximity of either of those cages, they then kind of lower, disappear from your world. So you can either free a townsperson, you can unleash a critter, lots of opportunities there. The Power Sphere is a physics ball. You can't really see in that screenshot, but it has this neat kind of lightning current effect going around it when it's in your box. But it does damage to both the player and destructible items in your toy box as well. So
set up all kinds of gameplay with that. Another fun one is the Radio Disney player. If you sign in to Disney ID, you can now stream Radio Disney in your toy box. And so as we were finishing the game, we had all of the different, the QA team would always put the Radio Disney player into the box as they're building, and so it's a fun piece that you can go in and stream Radio Disney right there. So,
and of course,
and
of course we've got all the awesome content coming from playsets as well. Touched on a few in the earlier panel, but there's a ton of just really, really neat, really fun themed objects that
we have a cannon that shoots
vehicles,
pies.
mounts,
Yeah, it's awesome.
Stuff.
We also have, of course, just like we have new toys, we've upgraded some of the toys and Creativa toys that you guys have grown to use a lot and love and kind of swear by as you build your own toy boxes as well.
The collectible tracker, this was one of my favorites from Infinity 2.0, but basically here we've just got tons more collectibles that you can do to make all sorts of themed collection opportunities, but you can actually also now have them show up on the radar if you want to make it a little easier to guide your players around if it's a time challenge or something like that.
Yep.
We also have new additions to the sound effect toy, the effects generator, and the action enforcer, and there's been a ton of different kind of skins and effects that have been added there, and those can be kind of chained and comboed together in all sorts of new exciting storytelling ways.
There may or may not be a famous movie scream that is part of the sound effects toy now.
There's so many, I'm actually kind of,
Yeah. The text toy, we know it was kind of a game changer in 2.0. That too has received a lot of love in 3. You can now input up to 10 lines of text into one text creator. You also see a property up there that says auto display next valid line. So you can turn that on, and as long as there's a line right underneath the one you just wrote, they fire off right after one another. So you don't have to kind of go back and forth between two text creators to try to come up with a conversation. We also have a lot of new interesting text types. We have confirmation text, which is kind of like a proposal text with only one option, so there's no accept or cancel. You can put it on actors, you can put it on the players themselves, and you can put it on locators as well. So very exciting there.
Cool. Just real quick, let's hit these
Let's
last few.
All right. So cameras, one of the big exciting things that we got this time around. You'll see in Inside Out, 2 players playing without a split screen. You can now use that in the Toy Box cameras. So you can have fighting games, you can have side-scrolling brawlers all within the same viewport and getting that kind of view. The Challenge Maker, one of the really fun ones that I like about this is now you can have the option to create vehicle or mount-based challenges that force the players into those vehicles and mounts, and you can't get off of them if you want something to be very specific. You can use the friend generator now to preset behaviors on the townspeople that come out of it. The Vehicle Summoner and the Challenge Maker both have this new functionality, which was highly requested across the community, but we're really, really excited that you can actually now, if you've got your hexagonal power disc vehicle on the reader at the time, or on the Disney Infinity base at the time, you can set logic connections to create those objects, and they will save off, and you can then upload your toy box, and other people can experience those in the exact way that you wanted them to.
So dust off those power discs, because they're going to get a lot more use in 3.
So, and finally, the Sky Changer and Boombox, another heavily requested option is that now in the properties, you can just cycle through and pick exactly what sky or what music you want in a really, really easy interface now without having to use logic connections to even just test them out.
Super quick, we have a lot of interesting new kind of improvements to just the general use of all these new and exciting toys. The repeater and the time delayer kind of have a visual pulse that go off, so you can kind of see visually how your toys are connecting with one another before you kind of hide them under your terrain and all that. We've replaced a lot of the sliders with text input, especially if you're trying to do a counter that reaches 1,000, so you don't have to press right on the D-pad for like 5 minutes. You can just type that in. A lot easier now.
And finally, some of our big editing and just general toy box use improvements is we've got actual visual connections now when you are working with logic connections and editing those, so you can see exactly what toys you're connected between at any given time. And then when you highlight a connection to edit it, it will light up and glow orange, and you'll see exactly which one you're getting at. Help you keep things straight a lot more simply and a lot more effectively.
Perfect. So before we get into questions, I think one of the things that we want to do, and I'll throw out one example, but there's literally many examples here. I remember when I went and first played Timon and Pumbaa from the Lion King Challenge. And what an incredible toy box. That was a magical experience that the Erdadi brothers made for us. And that is the main focus I think we have, is we want to continue to give these tools to not only allow for more compelling toy boxes, but for more compelling storytelling. And so that you guys can create these experiences really that just kind of just bring you into it, and it is an experience. And it's unbelievable what you guys do with the tools that we've given you. And honestly, we can't wait to see what you guys come up with, because you always blow us away. Before we get into Q&A, though, we have a quick video of the Mentor team using some of these toys in action. So let's go ahead and roll the video. Very cool. So, Q&A.
Hey, what's up, guys? All right. Before I get started I want to make sure that if anyone has any questions, come on up. The mic's open for everybody. But I do have a couple questions from the chat. The first one comes from Wolfsbane74. Again, he wants to know, what are the other things that have been done to make things easier to create in the toy box?
Easier to create? Well, we take a lot of pride in trying to organize and filter from the editor itself, right? And we're going to continue to enhance that to make it easier to find objects and be able to place those in the toy box. I think a lot of it is just kind of the sliders that you were talking about, Patrick. It's easier now to do a lot of the settings on the Creativa toys. And so, can you guys think of anything else that's...
A lot of the menu navigation now in the properties and the logic connections has gotten an upgrade as far as tiering and grouping things. A lot of dynamic kind of properties and connections that come in just when necessary. Things like that will just streamline the experience.
Yeah, and we have so many, as we add and add more toys, the things like building sets get kind of larger and larger. So we have those kind of broken down into kind of very logical categories. So, Cinderella's Castle, the Agrabah Palace, and Brave Castle are all in one set. More of your city building stuff is over here. As soon as you get your hands on the ribbon, you kind of see there's definitely a logic to how everything's kind of placed together.
And as we add more and more toys, though, that is something that we continue to focus on. How do we make things easier to build? And we already have a number of great ideas that we're looking to move forward with.
Awesome. All right, our next one comes from Rowan DJ. He wants to know, can you make your own Speedway challenge in the toy box?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So with all of the toys, especially the spline, you can use track pieces or you can just use terrain pieces. But you can now set that up so the AI will race with you and you have all of the toys to set up that challenge. Sumo has done an incredible job working with our team in getting the driving model. I think in the past, sometimes the driving model's been a little bit, sometimes hard to make a corner. But it feels fantastic now. And so I think racing is a whole nother level in the toy box now, and I'm really anxious to see what people come up with.
Cool. Our next one comes from V. Katarzis. He wants to know what your favorite new toy box feature is.
Ooh, that is tough.
That is a tough one. I feel like, sometimes you're not supposed to say that you have a favorite child. But sometimes maybe you do, or at least on a different day. I don't have kids yet, so I'm totally allowed to say all of this. But I think, we mentioned the Path Creator as being kind of a pet project, and I'm stunned at already what's been done with it. Even yesterday when these toy box artists came in and just played with it for an hour or two, I was just like, wait, you can do that? And we were the ones making that in the first place, so I think that's my go-to.
Yeah. I'd say you took my answer, but there's so many different applications for that Path Creator that, I have to go with it as well. I've done a couple of just the AI races that you can either do with off-road or just a checkpoint type race, and it's staggering how many things you can do with it. It's great.
So I'm going to change this a little bit. I'll give a quick answer. Obviously the Path is tremendously powerful, but when you look at the toy box and all the characters that are in there, now we have over 100 characters. You add all of these great Lucas Inside Out characters, right? As well as these additional toys. It really is all of these great things that are going to allow our community to go create these magical experiences. And so I think it's just the sheer volume of great content that's coming into the toy box.
How's it going? My name is Patrick, and so in 1.0 and 2.0, when you tried making two-dimensional side-scrolling platforming challenges, you had the issue where you could still technically move forward and backwards, and you sometimes miss railing, miss jumps. But in 3.0, there's the Inside Out playlist, which is actual, true two-dimensional platforming. So can we make 2D levels in the toy box in 3.0?
Absolutely.
Okay.
2.0, we kind of had that barrier that you tried to squeeze people in, and wasn't quite what you'd want for your true side-scrolling experience. But the Pathfinder tool, Creator tool, you can activate 2D player movement. Okay. So as soon as you activate that, your player will kind of gravitate towards it, and they will be on that kind of one-dimensional
just
sort
that
of
plane exactly as you
They can still
draw it.
jump and climb and all that, but they are left to right. They're not budging. So
cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Path toy gives you that.
I'm Nick, and my question is, in the 2.0 toy box, You know, if you wanted to make like a chase like from Indiana Jones or something, you really had to just hope the player was going to use the vehicle and hope they would know to get out to fight the enemies. Is there a way that we can literally have the metronome stop a car and then have enemies pop out and then you defeat them and then the car can start back up?
Absolutely. So we've got, again, with the Path Creator tool, you can attach vehicles. So at the moment that you pass a certain point on that path, you can trigger the car to start moving or stop moving. Once you jump out, you can then take down the enemies. You can jump back in and have a connection that says, okay, start moving again, and you can keep right on going in that kind of level.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet.
We know there's a ton of questions out there about everything in 3.0, but for those who didn't get to ask their question, just know the answer is use the Path Creator tool. That's the takeaway from this, for sure. All right.
Anything else?
Well, I think that's it for us.
Can't wait to see what you guys create.
Thank you.